Welcome. In this presentation, we will dive into the English learner education in Arizona. My name is Angela Sparks, and I have provided my email address here, so if you have any questions or comments, feel free to contact me through that email. In Arizona education, an English language learner is a student whose first or native language is not English and who currently cannot perform ordinary classwork in English. This is often abbreviated EL. According to data from the 2023-24 school year, about 9.2% of Arizona's student population are English language learners, or ELs. Of that 9.2%, those students' first languages are the most popular Spanish, followed by Arabic, Swahili, Navajo, and Vietnamese. According to data from the 2023-24 school year, about 9.2% of Arizona's students are ELs, or English learners. Of those students, the most popular native languages are Spanish, coming in number one with a big lead, followed by Arabic, Swahili, Navajo, or Vietnamese. Arizona now requires structured English immersion programs. Structured English immersion programs focuses on the learning of the English language. Those students who are English learners may be pulled out, they may be put into small groups, but they are in the process of learning English and they have distinct time periods where they practice the use of the English language and learn the semantics, the phonics, all of the intricate parts of the English language, and they can focus on that. Before structured English immersion, sheltered English immersion was used. And in those programs, the regular grade level content is just taught in English along with peers who speak English to the English learners. So they were just getting taught in English all of their grade level content regardless of their English proficiency. So it seems that the structured English immersion is more focused and gives those students more time to learn that language so that they may learn their content more easily. Arizona's language development approach sets out to ensure that ELs are seen as valuable members of the education community and that all individuals within the education system, regardless of what level they are at, have a responsibility to ensure the success of their English learners. This is based on four principles that surround the core, as we can see in the visual here. Those principles reflect research-based parts of the total instruction program for Arizona's English learners. The outer ring shows the overarching goal for the English learners to develop a sense of agency, confidence, and determination. And this is reached through the four principles, which we will get more into on the following slides. Principle 1 focuses on asset-based behaviors and expectations. This principle ensures that educators will recognize that English language learners bring assets to the table. They will respect and acknowledge those cultural differences and even their first languages as assets. They will respond to these students as the individuals that they are, fostering a sense of collaboration in community, family, and school. They will make sure that all the needs of the English language learners are met, be culturally responsible, provide opportunities for these students to master the English language. In other words, these educators will promise to realize that this is not a one-size-fits-all. They will see their students as individuals and treat them as individuals. Principle 2 is the integrated instruction in disciplinary language and content principle. This one focuses on the use of the English language proficiency standards. Educators are expected to align their objectives and goals to those proficiency standards. Educators are also asked to use scaffolding and differentiation to support all students. They are asked to model learning approaches that immerse and engage students in a language-rich environment and allow students to work together. So this principle focuses on the environment, the atmosphere, and that differentiation to make sure that all students are being reached where they are. Principle 3 is targeted and explicit language instruction. This principle focuses in on targeting that instruction, providing opportunities to use language across all four of the language domains, which are reading, writing, speaking, and listening. This is really focused in on supporting academic language development, opportunities for academic discourse, providing instruction and materials that are culturally appropriate, and providing students choices, using effective teaching strategies and creative learning environments. So it is really focusing on that instruction and making sure that it is targeted and gives these students the very best chance for success. The fourth and final principle is assessment, monitoring, and feedback. So once again, we're going to use the English language proficiency standards to align our assessments, just like it requires that the objectives and instruction is aligned. Use formative and summative assessments that have sophisticated uses of language with rich content. So they want to make sure that good content and instructional material is used. Use rubrics and real data for meaningful, accurate feedback that will help with development. And use student progress, what the educator sees in each student to guide further instruction. Student agency takes us back to that overarching goal, that ring around our language development approach that we saw previously. We saw the visual aid for that. Um, Student agency, or a person's agency in general, is, in summary, the power to think for oneself. So it can be dispositional, which is the understanding of self and acting with purpose; motivational, coming from one's beliefs and acting on those beliefs to make choices; and positional, experiences in social situations. A person's agency is informed through interaction. So it is actually informed through all of these things. And that is the overarching goal of the language development approach of Arizona, is for these students to build a strong sense of self and power to think for themselves. There are various names for the components of the state-approved SEI, or Structural English Immersion Models. Some of those are 2-hour. A student who is a 2-hour gets 120 minutes, or 2 hours, of targeted English language instruction per day in an SEI specific classroom with a certified specialist. Now, a 50-50 dual language immersion learner starts in kindergarten, and this needs parents' permission. So these students are grouped in kindergarten in specific classes that have a balance of English learners and English proficient peers, and they will go through their educational years together as a group. A newcomer would be most common in secondary grade levels, and that is a newly arrived English learner who just usually gets the basics in English and math skills to begin with, and the educators may even still use some of that student's native language in instruction because they are new, they're arriving in the secondary grade levels, and so they are going to have to be slowly brought into transitioning from their native language into complete English instruction. And then a pull-out. This is more common in elementary grades, and that is where a specialist pulls small groups of English learners from their general ed classrooms to work on specific language goals. So they are still getting that targeted English language instruction, but it is just for a certain amount of minutes per day outside of their general education classroom. The resources cited here were used for the information that was given throughout this presentation. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and remember to go back to that email address I provided on the title page if you would like to contact me.